Welcome to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. Today I have the pleasure of being joined by the Executive Director from the LaGrange Art Museum, Miss Laura Jennings. Laura, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Alton. Thanks for having me.
Well, I just want to say thank you again, Laura, for coming on. You know, sometimes I'm in a crunch for getting a guest. And I was gone last week. I had a guest host that came on and did the show. So I came back in. You know how when you come back in from being gone for a week, you know what's waiting on you.
Absolutely.
So thank you for being my guest here on the show today, okay?
Happy to.
Well, Laura, before we get started, tell us a little bit about yourself, if you don't mind.
Well, gosh, I'm an Air Force brat, lived all over the place, was born in France. I have lived in LaGrange this time for 26 years.
Wow, okay.
And I have 4 sons, one in Texas, one in Auburn, Alabama, one in Atlanta, and one in Athens.
Oh.
And actually, I just went and visited the youngest in New York City, and they lost my luggage. It went to Orlando. I came home to LaGrange. So I'm as of midnight last night, I do have luggage again.
Okay,
so
good.
Got clothes and everything that I had packed, so that's good. But I am a member of First Methodist Church, but attend Warren Temple on Sundays, which is the sister church for First Methodist. I love to read and garden. Of course, love art. How could I not?
Exactly.
And kind of obsessed with that. And just enjoy living in LaGrange. And in the summer, if I'm not in a pool or lake, I'm not happy.
Miserable, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's too hot.
Absolutely. Well, you know, I can definitely attest to it being hot. I just got back from Florida, and I know it was hot there, for sure. And I think I came back a little bit with a tan, and definitely I'm peeling on my back. That's for sure. Well, Laura, let's get into talking about, you're the Executive Director of LaGrange Art Museum. Talk a little bit about the Art Museum there, if you don't mind.
Well, the Art Museum was founded in 1964, and it is currently in a historic building at the corner of Lafayette Parkway and Morgan Street. It was built in 1892. A lot of people mistaken it for a church. It was red brick originally, and I think having painted it white makes people have a sense that it's a church. But it did house the jailer and his family in the front of the museum, and then in the back were male inmates, and on the second floor were females, lunatics, and children. So that's an interesting combination.
It is.
Yeah. So the museum, we probably change out our exhibits 6 times a year, pretty frequently. Right now we're in the middle of summer art camp, and that's the best when you have lively young people coming through. So we're really happy about having that time, that liveliness.
Very good. And you know, I remember back during the time when I had my little, and you all opened up on Saturdays and would allow us to come in and allow the young people to express their creative ideas and stuff. So it's a very worthwhile event here in our community, or building here in our community. And I'm glad to see it being utilized. I know that before we get into exhibits, I know that you guys have had some cooking classes as well there. We have.
We just had one, in June with tomatoes. How to make tomato jam, tomato juice, various uses for tomatoes. And we have more coming, so everyone should check our website. Probably early August we'll have up all the new offerings.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
go ahead and give them that
classes.
website information if you don't mind.
The website is LaGrangeArtMuseum.org. Simple enough, LaGrangeArtMuseum.org.
Yeah. Well, very good. And I know that we have you guys have 2 exhibits that we want to talk about that are up now, that'll be running through August, I believe it is. And we'll jump into it, and you can just kind of tell us. This is pretty neat. Butch Anthony, and it says Art, Nature, and Intertwanglism?
Intertwanglism.
Yes. I said it wrong. Yeah.
Butch considers himself the king of intertwanglism.
Okay.
He lives in Seal, Alabama, and that is between Phoenix City and Eufaula.
Okay.
A lot of people go through Seal on their way to the beach. And Butch lives on an 80-acre family farm, and he became interested in bones, which is one of his primary mediums. He became interested in bones because he found a dinosaur bone on his property. So then he went on to Auburn to study zoology. He is a self-taught artist, and it's really interesting. The exhibit features a lot of art that has cow bones and deer bones. And, after people harvest either the cattle or the a deer and get the meat. So he goes and gets the bones and he puts them in like a big vat. So for 2 years he lets vultures, bugs just eat all the remaining meat off of it. So for 2 years the bones just sit there. Then he takes them and puts them on top of his metal roof of his barn and lets the sun do its business for another year. Then he takes the bones down and then slightly pressure washes them with Clorox. So it's a 3-year process before you ever even see a bone in any of his creations. He loves found art. So actually he went to a local antique shop and bought several things. Besides dealing with bones and creating things out of bones and nature, he also loves to buy old portraits with the beautiful frames that they used to have. But people long forgotten, family has, gotten rid of the thing. And then he loves to draw skeleton bones over their images. And so that's a funny little thing that he loves to do. But very interesting exhibit, fascinating to children. It's been perfect for summer art camp.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Great. And this exhibit is up now at the museum?
Yes, it'll run until August 13th. And actually, Butch will come to the museum. He came for the opening in June, and he's coming again August 13th, the last day, on Saturday, from 1 to 4, if people would like to meet him.
Wow.
He's also coming next week for our summer camp with the high school students. He really prefers talking to children more than adults. And but he will be there Saturday, August 13th, for those people that want to meet him.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a long process to get bones, and a lot of his, I'm going to assume a lot of his artwork that is on display, I've not been down to see it, is actually utilizing some of the bones that he's kind of...
completely.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Fascinating.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, to think about, because me growing up in the country, I've seen skeleton remains and stuff of that nature, and to think and utilize those things, and because a lot of times they will start to decay. So there's this processing that he sends them through to be able to utilize. So that's going to be an exciting exhibit.
There's a self-portrait of his girlfriend Jennifer, and a portrait he did, not a self-portrait, a portrait he did of Jennifer, his girlfriend. He found a dead beaver on the side of the road, and so he took out every bone and used it in the portrait of her. The vertebrae, the little spongy stuff between the vertebrae, the skull, the jawbones, and spray painted them gold. It's just very interesting.
And that's on display?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's just amazing. He has, like, for example, a portrait of Charles Darwin, and then he has different aspects of nature, like rows of horseshoe crabs. And kids nowadays are so smart, so I would point out to them, they harvest horseshoe crabs because they have blue blood, and it's used in cancer treatment drugs. And I only learned like 8 years ago from someone from Virginia Beach, where they often harvest the horseshoe crabs. These kids know that. You're going, oh yeah, of course they do.
Okay.
And you're like, you're 7 years old.
Right.
Wow.
Duh.
So the children's interaction with art is just always inspiring.
The creative mind. Yeah. Well, great. Well, we definitely wanted people to come out and see that. And also you all have on display another artist who goes by the name of Lawrence J. Phipp.
Phipp.
Okay, Phipp. All right.
So, and now, unlike Butch, who's self-taught, Lawrence is very well educated in art. He went to the Rhode Island School of Art and Design. He lives in Rex, Georgia now. He's originally from Brooklyn, lived in Florida, and now in Rex. He came there to be with his mother as she aged. She's now deceased. Rex, Georgia hit the tourism map several years ago. They discovered that Michelle Obama's great, and I'm probably not going to say enough greats, grandmother was an enslaved person in Rex, and they found her grave, her burial site. So that kind of put Rex on the map.
Yeah,
people go there to see that, and he is an excellent artist. Very colorful work we have up, very summery and happy. When I come in the morning, on the first floor where Butch's work is, there's just a kind of a orangey, pinky glow that comes down from his work on the second floor. So it's a happy work is what I call it. And then also upstairs we still have 10 Andy Warhols on loan from a local collector. And right now we don't have the space for all 10 to be up, but we have 3. 2 from the Cowboy Indian series and 1 from the endangered species, which is it's a loggerhead turtle. So people love seeing an original Andy Warhol. So yeah, we've got a great exhibit going on.
Well, very good. And you know, and Laura, again, this is one of many things that we have here in our community that people can get involved with. And if there's somebody that was watching, definitely want to let them know about the times that you all are open. And if there's someone that's watching that'd like to make a contribution, tell them how they can do that as well.
Well, gosh, making a contribution is certainly easy. You just have to go on our website and there's a donate button.
Okay.
So it doesn't get much easier than that.
That's right.
And being a donor or member allows you to get a lot of notice of activities and things before the public knows on Facebook.
Okay.
So definitely worth your while. We still do have Super Saturdays, which you mentioned. The Junior Service League funds that. It's the 3rd Saturday of every month from 1 to 4. Actually, it will be this Saturday, July 16th,
all right,
from 1 to 4. And the kids always just do an art project. And it's a drop-in, drop-out. Back when your kids were doing it, you usually had to make reservations. It was very competitive. And people's schedules nowadays, you can't schedule them.
That's right.
They're like free-range chickens.
That's it.
So you just have to let them drop in and drop out as they will. So, but yeah, so you can do that on our website. You can donate. And our hours are Tuesday through Friday, 9 to 5. And then on Saturdays, 1 to 4. But always check our website because sometimes we're between shows. We will be at the end of August between shows, and the museum, the offices will be open, but there won't be really anything to see.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, very good. And again, of course, everybody knows where you guys are located. And as we close out September the 9th, I think you have an event coming up on September the 9th.
It's one of our most popular. It's the Visual Artists Alliance of LaGrange. Gosh, they're at least 35, 40 members strong now. And they get the opportunity to put 2 to 3 pieces of work on display at the museum. So that will open September the 9th from 6 to 8 p.m.
Okay.
And then it will run until October 22nd. And it's really a popular show, and you can buy the art from the show. 20% of the proceeds go to the museum, the rest to the artists. So it's a great opportunity for them to show and sell. And we just love that show. It's a great one.
Good. Well, good. Well, Laura, I want to thank you for coming on and being my guest today, and I'm sure that the public will come out and take advantage of these 2 artists and the other exhibits that are there on display. And again, I just want to thank you for being my guest on the show today.
You're most welcome. Thanks for having me, Alton.
You're quite welcome, Laura. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining City Week this week. My guests have been from the LaGrange Art Museum. I had on Executive Director Laura Jennings, and she talked about 2 exhibits that are on display that you can come out and enjoy, as well as other upcoming exhibits that will be featured there at the LaGrange Art Museum. I hope that you've enjoyed this interview, and as always, ladies and gentlemen, I want to invite you back for more of City Week.